And we are back live with another episode. We are in the teens here officially. Um, yeah, I think we got like a little different format today for this one. I think we've usually been doing kind of industry updates, a handful of different topics. But I think for this one, we wanted to kind of discuss maybe like building an agency specifically for how to like get new clients. I think that would be a really interesting topic that we can take in a couple different ways here. And I feel like over the last 2 years, like in freelancing and then starting the own agency and everything, like learned so much about how that operates. And then, working for large agencies, seeing how they generate business. I think this could be a really good topic that we can take in a couple different ways here.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a different type of topic. I think it could be useful. I mean, it's based on our experience. So we're not going to have all the answers. We're just going to be able to tell you what we've experienced and what has
100%.
worked and what has, not worked because generating business, it's difficult, always difficult. And you're going to get people that are on LinkedIn. Download my playbook handbook, and this is how you can generate leads. Or I don't know, dude, man. I get an email every single day from like a lead gen service. Hey, would you
Same.
like 15 new leads this month? Can you handle that? Um, and it's on everybody's mind in the agency world. So I think it's a great topic
That's
to discuss today.
that's so good because like I've gotten that email that hook so many times. Like, could you handle five meetings every day for the rest of the month? Like yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Of course I could. Like, just send them my way. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, they're doing the legion on themselves for the legion that they're going to do to. I don't know if I want my clients to be or potential clients to be reached out that way. It's never going to be the best or hottest lead, but yeah, I don't know. Where do you want to start here, Trevor?
I was just gonna say, do you want to? Let me just ask you that. Have you ever tried a lead generation service? Have you guys ever partnered with one, like an appointment setting firm or anything like that?
So a few agencies ago, I wasn't part of the sales team, so I'll just throw that out as a disclaimer. But I know that that was tried, and some leads did come in that were qualified, but they never really closed those deals. I think it's because there just weren't the best quality of deals, but we did have opportunities arise. So opportunities can come your way, but we just when they were looking at the cost for the service itself versus what actually closed business we got, it just wasn't a positive ROI.
It didn't make
So
sense. Yeah.
it just the math didn't work out in that sense. Yeah,
All right. I'm just making a couple notes here. All right. I think that
yeah.
makes total sense. Let's start off with maybe like the paid side of things and running like any because I want to hear your thoughts. I know we talked about this before about some of the tests that you guys have ran, and then maybe I could chime in there as well. And maybe we could frame this too as in the sense of like this is more so from like an agency if you were a freelancer looking to start your own agency or have a smaller knit team. I think a lot of this could apply to like a 500 head agency doing 50 million a year, sure. But I think from like our experiences, maybe like a little bit like a smaller knit team, if you will, or like a
Yeah.
smaller type agency, I think is a good way to frame it. Like we're not talking about like how to generate, you know, an enterprise level deal that's going to bring in $7 million of yearly recurring revenue. Talking more about projects of like SEO work, analytics work, webmaster works, paid those types of things that like I'm not saying like smaller deals, but like I want to frame that as this isn't necessarily like a corporate sales conversation, if you will.
Yeah, it's more like tactical marketing that people need to come in and like, hey, I need you to do this one thing or maybe these couple of items itself, but it's not like you're not coming in as the agency of record and you know that type of
Exactly.
business. Is that kind of the same page?
Exactly.
Okay.
100%. All right.
Yes.
How about on the
Yes.
paid side? Let's talk about some paid tests and everything.
Yeah. So on the paid side of things, I mean, right, we do this with our clients all the time. Why don't we try it ourselves, right? For our industry, it's so search, Google Ads, search ads. We have tested out in the past. Um, they definitely can work. You just have to be very niche, whatever the hell how people say it, focused. Like I wouldn't go buy the term SEO company, but maybe buy the term biotech SEO company, or find that kind of industry niche that you want to go into, um, because you know the leads are there for it. The cost per click is expensive though, man. Especially like at least for where we were trying out the healthcare space. Dude, you're talking like $25 to $30 a click at the time.
Crazy.
Uh, even in the fintech space, they were a little bit cheaper, maybe like 10 to 15, for that. But it did drive in business, standard search campaign, but just being very focused on the keywords and being very, exact match, maybe a phrase match here and there, never broad match to come in. One thing that we did notice though, if you go too niche or too long tail, Google won't let you buy that keyword. Um, I think there's maybe a misnomer, and this is for all clients' accounts, but I think a lot of people are under presumption you could buy any keyword in Google, but it's not the case. If you go very, very specific on a keyword, they say even if someone does search it, it won't trigger it because of like privacy concerns. I believe that's the reason why. So there's a balance between too niche and too broad that can work. The only thing I will say about the search campaigns, you got to have a tolerance to pay the money. Um, you know, to do it, we're not talking like $1,000. You're gonna need 5 grand at least probably to really go out there and do it. So that's a high kind of entry level to go for it in my experience. But when the leads come in, they're leads, but they're also shopping a lot of different places. I don't know what it is on a paid lead
Exactly.
versus like an organic lead, which we can talk about later. But a paid lead on a score, it's still not as quality as an organic lead, but it's still valid. We close business, for it all, and yeah, it can happen.
Maybe we talk about organic leads next real quick because I know you mentioned a couple that came through that were just for whatever reason super qualified and hot leads. I would say just to chime in on the paid side, I've now ran like our own agency and then also have worked in like larger agencies that do have sales teams. And I will say every larger agency I've worked for has ad spend budget. So like if you're a freelancer and you're like starting out or if you got like a smaller agency, I'd say this is probably the worst path to travel down for business acquisition and like business development is like paid ads. Steve, you mentioned like $5,000 a month. Like that's like not you, like a cheap expense
Yeah,
there on the month to month
I,
basis.
dude. Maybe entry level, and you could try it out. Is going into Bing instead of Google. The cost per clicks are going to be dramatically less, but still you're going to have to fork out some money. The target market, maybe if it makes sense, Bing could be an option to do so. We have experimented in Bing; it hasn't necessarily clicked as much as Google, but that would maybe be a way to
Interesting.
try out as a cheaper entry level. Just make sure you turn your audience network off if you're doing search ads because you'll be spending a bunch of irrelevant money in that section. So just yeah,
Totally.
maybe as an alternative idea. Not to leave the whole paid side before we get into organic, because I think we could still have a couple other topics. Um, LinkedIn ads for an agency, does that make sense? I don't know. I've done it once for a short period of time. We had like a downloadable ebook or top 5 reasons agencies fail or something like that. The cost per lead, I think it was like maybe $150. We maybe got like 10, 15 leads. We would connect with them on LinkedIn. We'd follow them up with on email because we get that information. We had like one person reply back. I just don't know if it was too top
Interesting.
funnel or we had the wrong offering. It could generate
Yeah.
some interest, at least like people had it, but I don't know if that's the best spot. But that's from my experience. That's another place that we've put our toe in that we ended up turning off just because we didn't get the volume or quality
Interesting.
response.
Yeah, like I definitely think there's a place for paid within your business development for agencies for sure. No doubt about it. But you're going to have to be willing to spend dollars is essentially what we're saying here. And if you're just starting out or a newer agency, every dollar counts there. So that might not be the best route. The other thing that I have seen have some good success is maybe like hopping on something a little bit more trendy or newer. Like for example, like when GA4 was rolling out, I want to say you even mentioned you guys had some success bidding on like setting up my GA4 profile, like those types of things where maybe it's like a newer, more like project focused and bidding on some of those keywords could maybe lead to like a project where, hey, I have no idea how to set up this GA4 profile. You help configure it. It leads to other project work and other channels. That's probably a path that would be worth traveling down if you had some ad spend you want to do some testing. Is maybe like some specific like implementations or problems that you could solve.
Yeah, no, dude, I totally forgot about that. I'm glad your memory's better than mine. Yeah, we launched a GA4 conversion campaign. Getting people set up. We had a very targeted landing page for it. Yeah, and the cost per lead for that was super cheap. It was like $10 a lead, and we cranked out some business. But they're small projects. But we were trying to upsell them later on into other projects if they were open to it. It's kind of your doorway in. And I think that goes for any
Exactly.
sort of lead gen that you're doing, especially if you're multi-service line and you have a couple different capabilities. Like if you can get in any way possible, get your foot in the door, as they say, you have the possibility to grow that account, even if it's a small project base, lead that comes in. But yeah, good point about the kind of timeliness or project based type of search queries. I think that could work too because
I'm
yeah,
thinking right
it's
now it
cheaper.
might be a little bit more expensive and competitive, but like AI stuff, I'm sure there's a bunch of search volume around, companies trying to figure out how to have some type of AI point of view, some type of AI automation, how to automate my business using artificial intelligence, like those types of things might be a little bit more competitive now, but I could see like, a couple months back that would have been potentially something to hop on. I'm thinking like anything that's like really like a big change, or I don't know if trendy is like the best word, but something that's a bit more timely that maybe you could win some project work, which leads to
Timely.
other services in like a retainer based model.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
All
as
right.
we
So
look at other
paid,
paid media options, I mean, all the other platforms like Meta, I don't think that really necessarily makes sense. TikTok, I don't think that really makes sense. Market's necessarily not there. Reddit ads, maybe in some
maybe.
subreddits. I don't know. Maybe Quora, mm, podcasts ads. I think too top funnel. Programmatic that ain't gonna work. So you are kind of limited on what I think you can do. Sure, prove me wrong that some of those channels work. Awesome, you're gonna you do it, but my experience, I just don't know if those would make sense.
Yeah, I would assume like you're just gonna have to spend. You're definitely just gonna have a solid budget, and like I don't know if that would be the best use of your ad
Oh, dude, if you
your
got
just
fuck you money
company
and you're
funds.
like, dude, I just need to spend money, then sure, try it out. I mean, maybe
Exactly.
you'll get a lead, but most people don't have that. The margins are so small. Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
All right, so I think we covered a lot of things around paid. Let's shift to organic because I know this is something you've mentioned to me before of like whatever reason quality of leads seem to be way better on the organic side, or they're just more ripe to like start work sooner rather than later. So maybe speak to like some of the organic side of things.
Yeah, I think it kind of comes down to organic leads always tend to be at the highest quality outside of referral. Referral business is always the highest quality, in my opinion. Right below that is organic. But like, why would that be? And I think it's kind of the mechanism of how someone searches in Google and then what shows up in the search results. Paid ads, like Google does not do the best job of serving the right ad to the right person for the keyword that they search because it's not like fully aligned all the time. They have that liberty to kind of broad or phrase match what it might be. So the ad copy might not resonate for it. So it's never like perfect, but organic it typically is. Like if you're searching for, let's use the example again, biotech SEO. Like that's very specific, and the organic listings, you're gonna have pages in the top 10 that talk about biotech in SEO. And so like it's very directional. That's what they're looking for. That's what they want. They go to the web page, they take a look, they fill out the form, you talk to them, they're gonna want that ask. So whatever your kind of niche is, those organic leads work great. Like even like SEO company, very broad terms. If you rank number one for that, like someone is looking for an SEO company, and they tend to
Yep.
rank, or the leads tend to be awesome. But organic is just challenging to rank for, right? You're trying to do a discipline that probably all agencies has a department or a person that they know how to do SEO. So it is like hyper competitive to rank for some very broad match terms like paid search company or SEO company. It's possible. It's just going to take a lot of time and a lot of money, and so that's not going to be like your best like short term gain, for any SEO campaigns. But for my experience, building out, once again, just like on the paid side, if you can build out niche landing pages for your services plus industries, do some link building to it, have some awesome on page optimization, and getting to rank for something like biotech SEO. Maybe it doesn't get a lot of traffic every month, but the leads and traffic that does come in, it's super quality. So building out like a large portfolio of high quality pages, based on different markets that you're going after or services, that has worked extremely well in the past. That like literally kept businesses alive because the organic traffic came in. It took a while to get there, but once it did, it's like great. These leads are still coming in.
So I think a takeaway here is like you're starting your own agency, your early days, just keep focusing on SEO. Like maybe not like your top priority, but constantly having some type of like tweaks you're making to your site, keeping a pulse on all things SEO. Because over time it can turn into like a lead generation magnet for you with
Yeah,
time.
it's not going to happen overnight, but it's like if you can build out some pages that talk specifically about your services in a very niche way, like I don't know, maybe you're doing auto, maybe it's something like in the service industry, and you want to target plumbers and you want to do plumber SEO type things, or even geographical locations too. Like anything could work. It's not going to harm you as long as the content on the website is good quality. Don't be spinning up a bunch of spun pages. That tends not to work. You could get some help with some AI content, but just make sure they're good quality pages so your site doesn't get like dinged for thin content. But that's a way to do it, and just let it marinate while you're working on other things. And it should
Yeah.
rise up eventually to get there. It's just being patient.
We also have like joked a bunch of times. There's literally no better feeling than a form submission pulling through on your website, and you get like an email ping of like there's a new form submission. Literally the greatest feeling ever is just getting a random qualified lead pulling through that you were not expecting.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
game
I
changer
mean,
for
we
the
had
day.
one. We had one come through a month and a half ago. It was through Bing randomly. Super long tail keyword. It was for like a niche industry for like website development and design. And the guy clicked on us. Like we don't ever get traffic from Bing, so it was like such a random incident. Like I'm like, how is this even possibly happening? Fills out the form. We close them in 2 weeks. We're actively working on the project, but like the quality of the lead was fantastic. It was
That's
there. So it's like, you just never know
incredible.
what's going to happen. I'm like, dude, it was fantastic. Bing traffic lead, organic lead comes in on a super long tail because we have the content. And the amount of effort to build that page wasn't that difficult to do. And it's converted into the highest ROI possible, for it. So yeah, it can't
Literally
happen.
incredible.
It will happen. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
All right, so obviously talking about like lead generation for agencies and business development, we spoke through paid, we spoke through organic. I think there's maybe a couple other pillars here. Let's talk about referrals. If you want to start off, otherwise I can kick us off there.
Why don't you kick this one off?
All right, so I think there's maybe a couple different avenues that I could take this. Um, but referrals in general, I think we probably can both agree it's by far the best lead generation source. You might find like other ways in which you can generate more volume, but in terms of like quality of lead, if somebody's referring you to a business, best position you could be in there. You had somebody kind of vouch for you on your behalf. That person's also knowing, hey, they're looking for your services. There's just like a lot there that leads to like
Yeah,
high quality
dude, 100%.
leads.
It's like you make an analogy in like the dating world, right? Your friend introduces to a friend of you, like they're already vouching for you. You're already going to be up
Yep.
pedestal rather than, let's say you're on a dating app itself. It's like, you guess this could work. It's the same thing in business. If you can get that really high vote of confidence that someone's ready to refer business to you, then yeah, it
It's the
always
best.
works out great. They're ready to get on a call. There's no uh, like they're asking for business, they're asking for help, and so it's like they'll get up on a call, they'll tell you exactly what they need. They're not a lot of times not even really shy about like price point, etc. Like you don't even have to. I don't know, that typical salesy kind of thing. It's like just tell them what you need and what you can do, and it
100%.
tends to work out great. But how do you get those referrals, right? Like how do you grow your referral network, Trevor?
I
Like
got
what do you do?
two. I got maybe a couple different ways, but two that like really come to mind. First one is, and I guess you could do this in a couple different ways, but like reaching out to people in your network and letting them know what you do. That might just sound super basic, but you could take
Hmm.
this in two different paths. So one would be like say on LinkedIn, see who you're connected with and who are decision makers in businesses who might want your services. So if your agency, caters towards B2B enterprise software companies or whatever, car dealerships, see if you could find people in your network who would be decision makers in those companies and just like reach out to them, offer them a conversation around whether that's being, hey, I could give you a free audit, or just in general, hey, I want to catch up, haven't talked to you in a while, see what's going on with your business, and seeing like what kind of, so that would be more of like an active outreach connection to those
And those are
individuals,
people that you already know. Just to clarify,
people you
those are people
already
that you
know.
already connected. So kind of rekindling that, letting them know. Okay.
Yes, I literally just did this a couple weeks ago. Actually, it was an interesting story. So, like, I went to high school with an individual. She now runs her own consulting firm. I reached out to her. It took some time to get a meeting on the books because she had a quite packed of a schedule. But I then got on a call. Knew her from high school. We were really good friends. She's running her own consulting firm. She's like, yeah, like we don't really have, like, we have one guy that we refer to who does paid search, but like he's completely maxed bandwidth wise. He has no other, he can't take any more business. And also we don't have anybody to do like some of their paid social ads. Like we just don't have a go-to person. And I was legitimately referred to four different businesses that
Wow.
afternoon. Never, that was like grand slam home run. Like I can't say like that happens all the time, but I
Yeah.
I reached out actively, said, hey, I saw what you're doing consulting wise. There might be an opportunity for us to collaborate. I do this stuff in like the paid and organic side of things, etc. That led to a conversation that led to four business development calls. Unbelievable. Like that was wild. Me and my business partner were going like, dude, this is nuts how like this happened. But like we had a call
Yeah.
today, think we closed them. We're sending a proposal to them by end of day. Extremely warm lead because she passed them along to us
Yeah.
saying, hey, they need somebody for these services. So it's like just like a layup. It's just kind of like a slam dunk in that situation. The other thing
It's
that I
awesome
will
because you
say as
never, yeah.
well,
So I will just say because like if you didn't reach out, they wouldn't know, right? Are they checking your LinkedIn feed and the posts that you do? Maybe, but a lot of times probably not, right? And they jump on LinkedIn maybe once a week or something like that. They go through their feed, but like you send them a message. If you don't ask, you don't know. I'm definitely going to try to do that a bit more on individuals. It's
it's
a,
so
it's
easy to
it's a little
do.
awkward
It
maybe
is,
because you're like kind of like social, like hey, you remember
yeah.
me? This is what I do now. But it's like you never know. It's like you're connected for a reason. And I think that makes sense. That makes sense.
And like you could even get an angle where you try and provide value, or maybe like you're just like friendly with them and it's not even, you don't even mention that of just like, hey, would love to catch up, would love to do virtual coffee,
Yeah.
would love to meet up for coffee or whatever, and then see if like the conversation naturally lends itself to like, yeah, like I'm actually like running my own agency, and it would be like a little bit more
Yeah.
organic
You
that
know
way.
what, man? I know you got another point to get into, and maybe we can get back to this, but I don't want to lose this thought because you triggered something in my head as far as when you say virtual coffee, right? I think that networking game, traditionally of agencies that was there before COVID, changed and has changed to where it's all online now. Sure, you can still do your traditional events, go out and have that network, but I guess people are more open minded to be networked online like through LinkedIn and have these
Yep.
kind of conversations and catch ups. Where before it'd be like, so your referral network is no longer restricted to a geographical location of people that you know that you can go get real coffee with. Sure, that's still a thing you want to nurture and do, but the idea of virtual coffee or just having conversations online is so much more open now in my mind, post COVID era, since everybody jumped online and everybody works from home, at least a lot
100%.
in the digital space.
So I think that is like a no-brainer. Reach out to people in your network and see how you can make that connection. um, I think you could be strategic there as well to see, are they, decision makers, or are they running? The other component to this as well would be like, okay, that's a little bit more individual focused. The other thing would be just reaching out to agencies, like agencies who do digital marketing, who do organic analytics, paid website builds, whatever. Just reach out to them. Hey, do you guys need help on project work? I do freelance work all the time. These are the services that I could deliver for you. That's how me and you met. Like I was referred by somebody, and he was like, dude, this agency I do freelance work for, they always have projects coming in. They're always looking for a bench of contractors. So then I started freelancing with you, and now we've partnered on a handful of different projects. You give business to us, we give business to you guys. So if you're doing
Yeah.
anything in an agency world, you just tapping other agencies, it's not going to work every time, but I know so many agencies right now that are just strapped with work that just need talent that are willing to tap contractors. You have no idea what that connection is going to lead to, whether that's just more business from that agency and you build up a freelance book of business. Do you meet a really great person in that organization that then goes off and builds their own agency that gives you work? There's so many different things that could happen in that scenario, but I think like just reach out to agencies saying, hey, I have availability, these are my services that I provide, would you guys need help freelancing or a contractor? Guaranteed that could lead to a ton of business referrals for you.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, man. Going directly at the agencies, they need the help, they need the bandwidth. I know they've, kind of struggled over the years. That makes a lot of sense to go after it that way.
That's how we've built so many referral leads, is because I've freelanced for other agencies. And you could
Yeah.
also, I can't say like I've done a great job of this and maybe we could do a better job in this new year, but even businesses that are somewhat related, like for example, if there's like website shops, they just crank out websites, you could let them know, hey, I'm down to freelance for you guys or white label for you guys to stand up your paid division, or hey, could you then refer once your website's done? I'll then hook it up with SEO, or build that into your website development contract, SEO implementation, or pass it along for paid services once the site's done. Like there's different related services to paid and organic and analytics that like maybe that shop focuses on like one area where you could add additional service in a white label capacity or partnership
Yeah.
or like whatever the case may be. There's so many other, like I'm thinking AI shops, analytics shops, website shops, creative shops who just do like videos and commercials. Any of those, I guarantee you could partner with them and figure out some freelance work and some business work there.
Yeah, and I think too, like the way that you can, keep an open mind about, referral business is that, I don't know, maybe sometimes people are a little protective of like, oh, they're going to take that client or this business from us if we go out and reach out too much for them, because they're kind of compete a little bit of what we do, etc. But as long as everybody's kind of open minded about it and like very honest in the agreements and how you work with each other, you can scratch each other's back in very different ways. There's plenty of cake for everybody to eat it. What is it? All
100%.
boats. What is it? All tide rises, all boats.
Yeah.
I think that has not necessarily been a culture that I've been a part of or I've seen kind of scenario, but I've been doing it, myself in the last couple of years here. I definitely can see that happening to where maybe, I'll pass off a referral for someone needing something very specific, and I'm like, I'm not really looking for a referral fee because it's a little small, etc. It doesn't really make sense to. But hey, I'm just trying to find them the right person, the right match. That'll come back in a karma way for an opportunity other times. I really think you put that kind of energy out there, it can get back and not be so worried about being so protective of. I'm not sure what that is, but like that sort of kind of
Yeah.
protectiveness, not being open minded about it, because I think the more open minded, the more opportunities will be shared across back and forth. It's there.
100%. All right. Anything else referral wise that you want to hit on there?
Um, no, I guess I mean on the referral side, generating and growing your referral network, I guess would be something to talk about. Is it done virtually with different services that are out there? I think I got an invite for, was it Onlineable or is it on LinkedIn, and you're reaching
Yep.
out to some people that you don't know on that. I guess the only stab that I'll take at that on the LinkedIn side of things is like if someone likes a post that I don't know or not connected to. Because maybe something did well in organic posts and I get people outside my network that have liked it. I'll visit the profile. If it's someone that I think that makes sense, they're not like a spam profile, I'll reach out and connect. That way, I think that's one way to do it. I guess I don't know. I'm not an expert in this area for sure.
Totally. Well, that was going to be another like I guess like pillar, if you will, would be like inbound slash brand building. Like if you have the ability to build a brand, like a personal brand or an agency brand, I can't say I've had a ton of success with this, but I have had some organic leads pull through on LinkedIn from people being like, "Hey, I've seen you post your content online. I'm looking for these services." That is, I guess, technically a referral there, if you will. I could see that also being classified more as like brand building or inbound. But you think about like I think Neil Patel made a post on this recently about how many like inbound leads they get every month just from his personal brand of him going on podcasts, of him producing content online. Like if you can gain traction on Twitter, if you can gain traction on LinkedIn, if you can launch your own podcast, have your own newsletter, whatever the case may be, if you're consistently posting content and you're building a brand, that will eventually scale for inbound leads. You will then be
Yeah,
top of mind for a lot of people. Like that's
yeah,
bound to scale. You got to be good at
yeah. It's
content
just
though.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that yeah, the posting on LinkedIn can help, right, for inbound. I definitely think so too. It can help from client retention too, as well. I've seen that experience. Kind of keeps it in mind. Also, people that you've worked with in the past that maybe were contacts that went to another job or company, they stay at top of mind itself. And it's not like an ego build thing. I think I was a little hesitant to do a lot of LinkedIn posting, just because it felt like I'm trying to inflate an ego. It's probably because what I've seen mostly out there in past experience for it all. And I'm not a huge ego person. I try not to be as best as I can. So it's kind of a weird feeling to do so. But when I started to generate some content that I felt was more useful, getting positive feedback or like people sharing like-minded, comments, etc. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I'm just trying to be useful. And out of that usefulness, maybe business will happen.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And that's okay. But I will be curious though,
I
like,
think that's a good mindset to have there as well because I felt like the same way about posting content online. It's like if you could have some value and be useful, I think that's a good frame of it and not just like, hey, look at me, I'm doing all this cool shit over here. Like I'm you got it all figured out, like
yeah,
more so being
nobody's got
useful to
anything
others. I
figured
think it's a
out,
good
man.
frame.
Nobody's got anybody figured out.
No.
What I saw a saying the other day. I don't know, it was a meme or something like that. Like the man that has it all figured out is a fool. The one that doesn't is probably the smarter one. Something like that.
Something
You
along
can't
those
pretend to
lines
know that.
though.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't pretend to know everything on that side. Okay, what other channels do we got? What other topics or pillars?
So the other thing that I can speak to, but I can honestly say I've never done before, I've just heard from other like, dude, I ask everybody who's an agency owner or who like does freelance work, like, how do you generate business? I ask them that every single time. So maybe that's also something if you're building an agency or like thinking about doing that, incorporate that in your conversations because people love to talk about themselves and how they're generating business or doing whatever. um, is like there's a ton of different sites. Like Upwork is a really good one that comes to mind, and maybe like a couple other sites. But I've heard people had some good success with Upwork. It is a grind from what I hear though, because someone will post, "Hey, I need social media management or paid search or analytics tracking or whatever," and you really got to like be speed to lead there. Like you really got to follow up quickly, and it's kind of annoying because then you got to type some shit out and like vouch. Maybe AI can help you like really reduce time on that, or you get some like templatized responses. But I have heard some good success from people using like Upwork and other type. I don't even know what you would consider that, like whatever project based work platforms or whatever. I've heard
Mm-hmm.
good success where people have a quick follow up, they do a little project that then gets them in with the business and then eventually into a monthly retainer. I think that would be an interesting model, especially if you like don't have a lot going on freelance wise or like retainer wise. Dude, just sit on Upwork for a couple hours each day and just like be the first one to respond to a bunch of different posts. I would assume it's going to lead to some good conversations and eventually some work or some business.
Yeah, I would agree. I've heard a lot of good things. about Upwork and different sites like that, but it's a hustle, right? So I think it could be a great entry point for someone that maybe they have a full time job and they're like, dude, I want to get some freelance work, etc. You got to put the time and energy in it, like anything else in life. But if you could get the time and energy to go a little bit beyond it and like respond out to, maybe make it a goal or something like that. Like I'm going to respond to 10 gigs a week, or maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's 10 a day, and just see what happens. Sure, templatize your responses to a certain extent, but customize them, per the need itself. I've seen people do like quick videos on pitches as well to kind of
Yep.
stand out. Like, hey, I made you this custom video, and it could be custom, whatever. You land a couple gigs that way, and it spins up for sure. But it's that hustle. I'd almost like if I was an agency, I would hire someone specifically just to do that. Like you are farming Upwork for everything,
That's a really good
and
idea.
do it.
That's a really good call. I really like that one. That's actually really interesting. Is having somebody on your staff who's just cranking Upwork of just
I'm sure you can
anything that's
find
relevant.
someone up on Upwork that does exactly what you need for this role. So maybe you could hire an Upwork and
Guaranteed.
do your Upwork,
No,
and then they'll hire another
that's a
Upwork, and it's all be a layer. But yeah, I mean, definitely, I've heard those sites work out pretty well.
I can totally see that. And then I guess like maybe two others, but they're kind of like related here. And I'd be curious to hear your
Yeah.
thoughts on this. Have you guys ever asked your clients for referrals before?
Not specifically asked them, like, hey, we're doing great over here. Do you have any other business? I don't think we have.
Because
It's always been them coming to us.
yes, yeah. The
It's
reason I
not
say
the
like
other
maybe
way.
maybe two others, but like they're kind of the same and related would be like I think at the end of the day, you're just gonna have to have a really good client experience and produce results and just like give them a really good experience because you could either one ask them, hey, is there anybody else in your network that you think would be like interested in our services, need our help? On the flip side of that would just be doing great work for them, and that naturally leads to referrals. I'm assuming that's probably happened to you over the years, where like maybe one of your clients referred to like one of their friends in their
Yeah.
network. Like if you're just providing a good client experience and doing good work for your clients, that is bound to eventually lead to new business where they are referring from someone in their network, or maybe they leave that company, love the experience that they have with you guys, go to a new company, and then tap you again for the same exact services. It's just a different company. So it's kind of like on the same lines there.
Yeah, I think specifically asking, like with anything else that you talked about, like your referral network, if you don't ask, you don't know, right? It could be just the right timing. You just ask them and sweeten up the deal on that side. I think that, yeah, makes a lot of sense to do that as well. I mean, one other item that I've got on the list here, I was writing it down. It's kind of like online directory websites, the Clutches of the world, Design Rush, etc.
Alignable would be one of those, I guess.
I'm not sure about Alignable as like a directory. I think that's more of like a build your own referral network. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay,
I can't
okay.
speak to Alignable too much. I've got an account and I've get some notifications, so maybe that someone could pop in. I don't know, in the comments or somewhere and tell me what it is more.
Yeah.
Um, but like on the directory side of things, like we've looked into, and I've heard good things about like a directory like Clutch. And paying for a listing, and their listings are literally paid per rankings, which nobody knows, right? So they rank really organic for, like, let's say top web design company or niche. Like they're going to be your organic competitors when you're building out your own SEO. So they rank, but people look at it as like, hey, it's a third party review site, and they're listing the top 10 or the top 50, right? And they're going to look at the top 10, maybe reach out. But those top 10 are all paid. People don't realize they're just not like an organic listing. And those fees could be pretty expensive. Like I think they do a yearly. Last time I talked to them was like a yearly, and they're very specific on like the one page that you would be on. It would be like, I don't know, some pages like really top ones. I think it was like top web design companies. It's like $10,000 a month. I think they
Wow.
have some cheaper entry points of like $500 a month, maybe $300 a month, but you got to pay yearly or 6 months. It's just kind of a hefty fee to get there, and you do need to build out your profile. right? So you got to get reviews, which the review system is really cool. I actually love the review system because it's really well from an organic perspective. It shows up when you search your brand name, etc. The process is really easy to do for clients as well. And they are somewhat vetted on the review side, but like the paid side, it's going to be hard to justify that without doing it. But I have heard good things. It would be
That's a
an
sick
experiment.
business model.
They've been
You're
around
like
for dude.
running
Those
clubs.
directory models have been around forever. So
Uh,
there was a company years ago called Top SEOs. I'm not even sure they're still around, but they ranked for like SEO and were like top SEO companies. Like they had killer organic rankings. They had a top 10 list. Man, I think at one point we were paying like 10 grand a month to be in the top three. It brought in
Jeez.
leads, but this was before. This was like 12 years ago, and like people's education on how to search for something online was very basic. And so like they would go to this website and they would think it would value this. So it would generate actually a lot of business. But as people changed and how search behavior and getting smarter about it, like, yeah, but they made a killing in the day. But I remember they were like on a renewal trying to tell us, hey, you want to keep your number one spot? We need now 15 grand.
That's so
And I was like,
crazy.
dang. So if you can rank organically for those queries and create your own directories and then pay for it, I mean, they're all over the place. It's like the Capteras of the world. They can work. They can generate leads because the user that goes to it, they do not realize it's everything is paid in the top 10. Then they
But they
have
think
some
it's somewhat more
organic
vetted.
algorithm
Yeah.
afterwards. Or even then, like some of the places like we can get you in the 15th spot. I'm like, why the fuck would I want to pay for a 15th spot? Like no one's looking at the 15th spot. Like give me the top three, but even the price point was way too expensive. So
That's
directories
wild.
are something that are there. I would say submit your agency to all the popular directories that are out there as possible. It can help from an organic perspective, or at least put your brand footprint there that are free. But as far as paying directories, don't know the ROI. I've heard good things, but I don't have data to speak to that.
That just made me think like, and you could probably say this for like anything in life of like, if I would go back 10, 15 years ago, I would. But could you imagine getting the opportunity to go back like 15 years, knowing what you know now about SEO and paid, and just like dominate the search results page? Just like such simpler times. Like now we got
Yeah.
generative AI, we got you know all of these different snippets that pull up. Like just people now gain the system, like know what's up. It just like I remember like Ty Lopez. I forget like what he was doing, but he said like the reason he had success with his first business, he's like I was like one of the first people ever on Google AdWords when it was called AdWords at the time. And he's like, dude, I was paying like
Mm-hmm.
10 cents for clicks and just like everything was just like 50% click through rates. Just everything was like closing business wise. I forget what business he was referring to, but I was like, dude, now it's like smart bidding, AI, it's just so much more complicated. And
Yeah, that was the
the
birth and the heyday, the Oklahoma land rush for agencies and stuff like that. Yeah, going back in time would be interesting. I think one of the simpler things I would have done, maybe going back in time even longer, is like just buying domains.
buying domain names.
Dude,
Yes.
that's like the easiest thing. Just buying domain names, like every word that's out there, and put .com on it. Someone's gonna buy it, then go through the IO phase. I haven't seen a lot of .net domains
No.
around anymore. But yeah, but even .net's got really popular when they first came out because it was an alternative to the .coms, and people made a lot of money on those as well. I remember clients asking us, so should I buy .com or .net? Is that going to matter on my rankings? I'm like,
That's
no,
classic.
yeah, but buying domains would
That
be
is
awesome.
classic.
But yeah, I'd be curious about other people's ideas. If anybody's listening to this podcast that happens to have agency experience, like what are they doing? I don't know. Like comment somewhere on our platforms wherever we're distributed. That would be cool to know.
I would
Get you on and
also,
have a conversation.
yeah, seriously, if anybody listening right now is running an agency and wants to hop on and have a convo, that would be great. I doubt we're gonna. I feel like referrals are going to be like everybody's going to say that's like the dominant factor here, and I think I don't know. I feel like this one turned out really good. Like I like how we had one focus of this episode here and like really dove deep on like a business development topic because I feel like that's one of like the most, at least for me personally, like demystifying things or like mysterious things when I first joined agencies. Was like, how do you build business? Like, how do you get new clients to pay for you for these services? I was always like fascinated by that. And then as we've gone through, it's like very basic stuff, like networking with people, doing good work, telling people you're available for these services, and providing good results at the end of the day. It's it's been interesting, but I feel like, yeah, if you have any ideas of like any areas that we might have missed, definitely comment and let us know. I would love to learn of other avenues, but I feel like we did a good job covering a bunch of topics here.
Yeah, I think we hit the broad strokes categories of the pillars. For what we've got experience in. But yeah, love to hear more from other people as well because I'm always down to learn. I don't know everything, or nor do I want to, but I will listen.
Hopefully, we also get it to a point where like this podcast generates some organic leads for
There
us.
you go. Yeah,
That
right.
hasn't
We totally
happened
forgot
yet.
that category. So yeah, you want business, you want some website design, etc. This is your guy. You want some paid search. Trevor's your dude. We do everything else. There's my pitch. It's horrible, but yeah.
Any paid organic analytics website stuff, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
We'll figure it out.
100%. Cool. Well, great podcast, Trevor. Appreciate the time.
Demystifying business development in the agency world is an initial title for this podcast here. Something along
There you
those
go.
lines. Yeah.
Right on.
All right, cool.
Take it
Later,
easy.
y'all.